Hello. Today, I wanted to draw a spotted lanternfly, and the reason why I want to draw this bug is because outside of where I live, there are so many of them. It appears that there's kind of like an outbreak of them. I believe they are an invasive species in my area. So I took some pictures. I wasn't really happy with a lot of them. I felt like I got up close and personal with them. They don't bite, luckily, but they do tend to, if they get scared, they like flick themselves. So it was really funny. Um, I feel like they had like no idea what they were doing, and it was a bit concerning. And they're very, very weird. So I wanted to do this picture, even though I have some other pictures for reference to work with. Maybe I'll do it from that angle. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how they flick because I don't see any appendage on them. Like, they were able to flick themselves really high. Um, yeah, they have, like, I think that thing right there is so they could drink plant sap. I think they eat or devastate crops, which could be an issue. Luckily, I'm not a farmer, but I do know they pose a bit of a threat to the plants and whatnot. So to start off, they're it's really difficult to see all of their leg attachments. I did try to even compare it to the ones I took. Even looking at pictures on Google, it was sometimes extremely difficult to tell. Um, I don't have the right camera. Like, I just took these photos using my phone, and I think they're good. But I've seen uh, other people, like specifically the people who I usually email to use their photos. I have, you know, they're more professional and they know what they're doing. I wouldn't be surprised if they're also probably in like academia of some sort, so they have the special macro photography lenses. So I'm not really a professional with that, nor do I have the money to spend on that camera gear. Would be pretty cool, but I'm just not in that position to do that right now. Maybe in the future. So to start off with, it's insect, so it has a head, thorax, and abdomen. And this this bug, it has a lot of armor. It's very hard to see unless you're looking up close. Off screen, I kind of pulled up an anatomy thing of it, and it's so interesting. I never have seen a bug like this, so I have to say I'm kind of happy. Like, I know from a invasive species point of view, this is probably like the worst thing that could come about. But in my opinion, I don't know, I kind of like seeing the weird bugs. As long as they don't bite or sting, I'm happy with them. Luckily, they don't. And they're a bit friendly too. It was actually really kind of funny, because I was outside taking a picture of them, and at first they were kind of like they were like trying to back away from me. I'm not sure if they thought that I was going to eat them. Probably. Some of them would flick to like get the heck out, but for the most part, they they were pretty. They let me get really close to them without flicking away. I want to say that at least one of them did flick and hit my phone's camera. I should have been recording it because it was really funny. Luckily, they didn't leave a scratch or anything, but it definitely hit my lens. And I think the picture that I did take was just of a leg, so not too useful. I deleted the photo. Sadly, I didn't keep it because you just saw like a portion of its leg. Um, I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah, it must be a brood. I think that's the right term. All I know is that there's a ton of them. Like, you would not believe how many there are. Some of them are like more like black with white spots, and some there were a lot of them with red. I think they do eventually get wings of some sort, but I know these ones would just like flick themselves up. Um, it's really hard for me to kill any bugs. I don't like to do any of that because I know they're just trying to survive, but I know they're an invasive species and all of that, so you probably should. I don't know. It's just difficult for me to decide to do something like that. I know probably I am gonna get like comments that are saying you should mash them up, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. Unless it's like a wasp nest that's close to me. I don't know. And I know those things are actually really good for getting rid of pests. Okay. I keep thinking that maybe the end part is a little bit larger than I'm anticipating. It's a bit kind of hard to tell within the perspective. Actually, the end kind of seems to be a bit more of like a bean shape. Kind of like a fatter bean shape. Well, you know, it's more like that, I think. I don't think it overlaps at all. I think it's thicker. I should have got more underside photos of them, but I'm going to go with this initially. So the legs are all attached to the thorax, and they're very straight. Like whenever I was looking at them, it was really interesting how they moved. They like had the ability to kind of move like back quickly and also like to the left and right relatively fast. It was quite interesting, I have to say, because I've never seen a bug quite move that fast and kind of like that. Yeah, their legs, like whenever, besides this one that had its legs spread out, these ones kind of like, they're kind of like always following like that type of shape. They're a bit just always like that type of like L shape is what I would call it. I don't know what advantage it gives them, but it definitely is for some purpose. So to start off, I'm going to do the gestural lines for the legs. And in the back one here, it was kind of like going up before it kind of abruptly went a bit back. The other interesting thing I want to note is it appears that maybe the back legs are somehow special, or like I don't know how they're modified, but my assumption here is that those are what kind of let it jump. And yeah, it was really interesting, I must say, to see them spring. So I couldn't see the other legs. I think that leg right there is kind of like a portion of the front right leg, but we could see the back right one right here on the photo. I will have to get more pictures, you know, take advantage of it when I can. So I think it's kind of like the leg kind of goes out a bit further than I anticipated. I think this one should also go a bit further down. I wasn't really thinking all that much. I wish I was thinking a lot more. I'm actually going to redo some of these legs. I'm extremely tired right now. I woke up pretty early, so I am going to try my best to do good at this. So if I have to redo things a couple times, well, that is just, oops, what the heck. That is just on me, and I'll try not to do that too much. I'll try to be careful with every line I draw. feel like this one needs to be a bit further down so that it kind of like goes over that. Line. The other two legs are a bit obscured, so they're there, but we really can't see it. It had its legs pretty close to one another, kind of like following a line. Like if you ever looked at a thing of staples before, it was a bit like that, in my opinion. I also want to add the two eyes. It had very interesting ball eyes. I felt like it had a lot of personality. Yeah, that's what I'll call it, personality. I don't know, it looked very, like, I know it's bad, but I kind of liked it. I don't know, it just doesn't give the, it doesn't give asshole with wings that's going to sting you vibes. And I know that's just me being totally biased here, but okay, so I want to start adding some structure. This insect has a lot of weird armor on it. Particularly, it has, I believe it's like a thing it uses to get sap. It's kind of like a long nose, and it's attached to the ball of the head. It did have some three-dimensionality to it, so the other important thing here is it's kind of like that. I guess you could think of it like, I don't know, think of it like a French fry, like that rectangular French fry shape. And the other thing was on the head, it had like two distinct units. And it's interesting because it's kind of like a bit like a contour. And this was also prevalent on the thorax. And it also, I'm not sure what that is. It may just be another part of the mouth that kind of tucked a bit below. It's attached to the head somehow. I really couldn't see it. I'll have to, I'll do a couple of these because I actually really liked this one. So the other thing I wanted to mention is like there and there it had, I'm guessing those are somehow, they will become wings eventually. So I wanted to kind of show that separation. And that separation kind of continues and kind of acts as like a intermediary area connecting, or kind of like shielding the area between the head and thorax. So it's really interesting. The other thing, I guess I should start doing the legs now, just so I don't mess up too badly. The legs were all very thin, and I think I drew the pilot holes for these legs way too large. They were like very thin sausages. I mean, like they were like really thin. Like it seemed like at the connection of the legs, it kind of like thinned out. And I have seen this before with other insects, but this one particularly, it was something I feel like I never have seen before. And the legs do have that, or the end parts of the legs, they kind of have that, it's like a triangle shape, and there's usually like two claw things, and that's usually to help the dude climb plants. Now for this leg. Okay. Now the back leg. The other interesting thing here is it seems like the back leg it was a bit different than the front four or the front two pair of legs. Like, it looked like there was a bit of like a serration, and I think they were also like a bit longer. So it's a bit hard to tell from the perspective, but I could be wrong with that, but it kind of looked like it. I keep thinking like grasshopper legs. Like these ones kind of went like that. But I can also see here, it kind of looks like there's a bit of like a serration. If you need an example of like what I mean by serration, if you Google a serrated knife, that may help. Kind of has to do with like, it's kind of like a ridging. And then the end part here, we can actually see it in, we can kind of see like the 3D nature of it. I think I drew it a little bit too large, so it really should be like right here. They kind of look like toes, like just like two toes. There's also like a thing here. But yeah, they kind of look like two toes, even though that's not what they are. In this event, this leg over here kind of like goes like that, goes like that. And we could see more of the leg, which is interesting because it's like there's a bit of a flat part as it connects here. Connects to that. I also drew this segment way too large, so I'll erase it a little bit to show you. Think to about here. We could kind of see the thing spread out. It's kind of like if I were to blow this up, it would be a bit more like that. Kind of like a shape like that, if that helps you visualize it. Okay, so even though we could see like a little bit of that leg, it's really obscured at that point, sadly. So hard to get the perfect shot of bugs. They don't always stand still like I would prefer. The other thing is the area of the covering the abdomen, it has like these banding plates, and it was a bit difficult to kind of see them, but I'm looking at the anatomy of one, or it's just the back of it kind of closer, and it kind of seems like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about like 7 of these plates. But actually, before I do that, I wanted to do these other shapes. They kind of like, well, I'll show you. It kind of seems like there's like a ball here. Not a ball, but it's like a bulging out shape here and here. And when you get to like this area, it kind of like does that. It almost looks like a precursor to a wing. Or something that will become a wing eventually. That covers the thorax. So now I wanted to do that serration. They're like plates. So now that I think about it, it seems like the first plate is about halfway, like right here. And it does eventually bulge out a bit. It's kind of like that. So I counted 7. Oof, I think I figured out what I was doing wrong. So because of the perspective, it kind of like does that. kind of does this, too close, banding as it goes around the contour of the form. And as it goes, it's getting gradually smaller. You know what? I want to do that again because I'm like totally messing up that perspective. I'm going to put a contour ellipse to kind of show how I want to follow it, because it's like it goes up around the form, then it kind of goes over it, more like that. And I think by me placing in that partial ellipse there on the bean-like shape to summarize the abdomen, I think that kind of helps orient myself more to... That one's a bit too big. So about 7 of those. And now that I look at it, perhaps in this perspective, we're kind of seeing a little more of the legs. I think these are the back legs. They're like, do you see it's kind of like a little bit of an overhang of the bean, and it was a bit obscured here. It was really hard for me to tell, but don't worry, I have more photos of these guys, and I'm planning to take even more and really try to grasp an understanding of these really interestingly designed, I don't know what they are. I'm guessing a beetle. They have to be a beetle. I don't know. It says lanternfly. I can probably just Google it. But yeah, I took these photos. I would do the, now that I look at it, I think I messed up the wings. It should have been more like that. Yeah, oh well. I will do this again. I may just do, maybe I'll do a video in which I kind of like grind out a bunch of them, try to get a better understanding. Now that I even look at it, like this eye should have been, like I'm just seeing a little bit of it. I think I summarized it way too large. Should have been more like that. Don't worry, I will do more of this lanternfly. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed with how this turned out, but maybe that's a good analogy to somehow how art turns out. But I have a lot of room for improvement. But yeah, other than that, thanks for sticking around in this video. If you like my channel, please subscribe. If you have a question, please ask in the comments, or anything else, or you could email me if you'd prefer. Please like the video if you liked it. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.